That one is just absolutely beautiful. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining tonight. Glad that you guys could be here. Let's see. Hey, Curious, you were the first one in, and then BDA. How are you guys doing? MA, yeah. So good to have you here. Yeah, so I got to spend some of the day today with Miss Mary Newbert, who is part of the Banter family. She's on the road right now, headed home, so she won't be part of the chat tonight, but we had a great conversation. It was actually really good to meet her. So it's been a busy day. Squid Pear Guy. Hi, how are you? That's new. Where are you from? There, Squid. I'm going to say Squid. I know it says Squid Pear Guy, but yeah, it's funny because I call my daughter Squid. Her name's Sydney, but I call her Squid all the time. So yeah, I'm glad you guys can make it tonight. The topic tonight I wanted to discuss was some remarkable animal behavior that happens. Some of it's actually remarkable, some of it's extremely incredible, and some of it is like, wow. Because we all get like media stuff all the time, and usually it's either good or bad. You've got like your little heartwarming stories, and then you have your not so heartwarming stories. Usually, you got your shark attacks, or you've got, your mountain lion attacks, or this or that. And I just wanted to go over some stories that kind of, showed just sometimes, because a lot of people are always like, when they hear stuff, a lot of people like to say, oh, what a stupid animal, and they're far from it. And these stories prove it. And there's a ton out there, but I only picked like a handful that I found extremely interesting. And the first one, hey, Denny, how are you? Good to see you. The first one I picked, I kind of did it because when I was younger, I would always, thank you, Curious. Yeah, I had to get the thing because I'm just 4 months older than my husband, but he's always said that to me. So when I found the T-shirt on the hashtag Save the LA Cougars site, I said I had to get it just because. And plus, it helps them out. I really like being able to help out Beth Pratt. Beth Pratt. She does some amazing work with the mountain lions in California. So, but I used to go hunting with my dad, and he always had these rules that you had to follow when you went with him. One was, stay close, which, sometimes we'd separate, but we always knew where the other one was, and not to wander off. But he also had, and I always thought it was funny. Hey, John, how are you? And Alex, nice shirt, thanks. And he would always tell me too, because in the area, like I said, growing up, it wasn't common, but once in a while there would be a bear. So we're out deer hunting, and he just wanted me to be prepared that, if I saw one, most people know the rules now is make yourself big, loud, whatever. But back then, the main thing was don't run. And it's still true today. It's true with most of the apex predators. You're not going to outrun them. And that was his thing, is he would always say, you're not going to outrun them. Hi, Bryn. I can't even pronounce that. Agamastor. How are you tonight? And so he would be like, don't run, especially uphill, because like you said, you're not going to outrun him or anything. But he would also turn around and say, if you do accidentally run, because it's a fight or flight mode that most people get into. He says run downhill. He says because they get going so quickly they'll trip themselves up, which I always thought was kind of funny to think about. Don't want to run into a bear. I prefer that they're in the wild, and I just don't come across them. So I'm hoping to keep it that way. But with the first story, though, that I had come across that I thought was very interesting happened in December of 1997, and it was actually a gentleman who had lost his job. He was living kind of off the grid in a cabin. He had a few livestock, mainly for like milk, eggs, but he poached. And in the area that he lived in, he was out one day tracking. Hey, Mooncat Ops, how are you? And he came across these big tracks, what they call a more tiger, which technically is just a Siberian tiger, but for some reason they always say a more. And he followed the tracks until he came across the tiger who had just had a fresh kill. He had just killed a wild boar, and he shot the tiger because he wanted to steal the food, because that's what he was trying to get, was just food to eat. And he did so, but he wounded it, and the tiger had run off, or at least that's what he thought. And he took part of the kill. He didn't take it all. He just took part of it and took it back to his cabin and stuff. Well, this tiger decided it didn't like this fact that he'd been shot, he'd been wounded, and he weren't going to run and lick his wounds. What he did was he tracked the scent of this guy. For 2 days, he tracked him. He ended up getting to the gentleman's cabin. The man's name was Vladimir Markov, and he wasn't home. So the tiger broke through the cabin door and shredded all of his clothes, anything that had a scent on. He just destroyed it. He went back outside, didn't touch the livestock, went off into the bushes, and sat there and waited until Markov came back. And when he did, he attacked him, killed him, dragged him into the bushes, and he ate him. They don't eat big cats. And no, they don't. They, as far as I know, they don't, John. They, but what it did was, it was most people, it's all theories that this cat was pissed, for one, because he got shot, pissed again because, you know, he stole part of his kill, and took it. When the authorities arrived, you know, because they're out and about and stuff, but when they came across the cabin and they found bits and pieces of his remains around, they realized what happened, and they set up a hunting party to track down the tiger and kill it, because of the fact that the tiger was had the taste of human blood, and it was now considered a problem cat, which was, yeah, it went through the door. It knocked that door down, and it went in and just shredded the place. And the part that most people find the most intriguing is that cat's precision, for the fact that it waited up to 12 to 18 hours for Markov to come home. It didn't leave. And like I said, it didn't touch any of the livestock. It just wanted him. And it was a revenge kill. And they did shoot the tiger. They did actually track it down and kill the tiger. They, because of the fact that they had ended up putting a party together, because where it had the taste of human blood, it would become a problem. They were afraid of more attacks on people. The issue that goes on in that area is that's the only attack, the only kill. There's hunters in that area all the time. There's the tigers in that area all the time. And there's never been a problem until that one problem in 97. And, so it's one of those things that people start thinking, and when they're, talking about the issue and stuff, it's like the tiger had a purpose. It was pissed and it wanted revenge. Yeah, it did kill him. It waited for him for 12 hours. It killed him. It dragged him into the bushes and it ate him. And all they found was like bits and pieces, hand and different stuff. It was no body. No, the guy did die. Okay, I'm getting confused here because it's like it did kill him. It killed the guy, and like I said, there was people that showed up. The authorities were brought in. They put a hunting party together. They tracked down the tiger. Um, you can actually look up the story. They've got articles on it. There's actually a book somebody I guess wrote about the incident because, like I said, in that area there's hunters, there's the tigers, and there's never been an issue until that one incident with Markov, and it's morbid and it's grisly, but it's one of those things that when I was reading it, all I could think about was my dad telling me, if you do come across the bear and it does attack and you shoot it, make sure it's a kill shot, because he said animals will hold grudges. And I thought he was crazy at the time. And then you do hear some of these stories, and reading that one, I thought that one was very interesting. That, to say the least, with what had happened and how things came about and stuff. And then, you can go on to happier stories, which I will do. Like I said, the only reason I brought that one up was just because when I was reading, it just brought back the memories from childhood, from like when I was, a young teenager, and I would go hunting with my dad and stuff. Yay, Mooncat, you know the story. Yay. It is very serious. And that's why they tracked it down, due to the fact that, it can be a major problem. It had the taste of human blood, and it was already pissed off at one. So what's to say it wouldn't be at another one? Martin, how are you? Good to see you. But yeah, so we'll move on to other ones, because like I said, there's so many. I just picked a few that I found extremely like noteworthy on just different stuff, because my next one is from 2004 in New Zealand. Hey, yeah, he did, but then he left again. So I mean, it's like I said, the tiger actually waited quite a while. It's good to see you, BMO. I'm so glad you're here. Um, but the next one is from 2004, and it's just off the coast of New Zealand. It was a beach area where a lifeguard and his 15-year-old daughter and some others were swimming in the ocean, and they happened to notice that around them they had dolphins swimming. And they were like, "Oh, this is really cool. We've got these dolphins swimming around us." And then all of a sudden, the dolphins started getting closer. And then the dolphins ended up, after a little bit, corralling them together, which made the father very uncomfortable, because he's like, "This isn't typical behavior. Well, what is going on here?" So he tried to swim outside of the little circle that they had pushed them into, and he had a large dolphin come out and circle him again and bring him back in. And he was getting very, very nervous, because he said, "This is not typical dolphin behavior, and what the heck is going on here?" And come to find out, though, as he was being corralled back into the group and stuff, he noticed just a few feet off in the water was a 9-foot great white. And what these dolphins did was they corralled these swimmers into a circle, and they kept circling them and circling. And they circled them for over 40 minutes until the shark just got bored and swam off, and they could get back to shore safely. And I find that very remarkable. Yes, they were protecting them. And dolphins have always been known to do that. And they've also been known that that's how they end up protecting themselves too, with sharks. And we all know that they will ram the sides of them, to deter them, to get them away and stuff. But to have people out in the ocean and that many dolphins to realize that there's a danger and corral those people. And I mean, I would probably have freaked a little bit too, but I thought that the whole premise behind it, with these dolphins being that smart to know that those people were in that much trouble, and to get them corralled and save them until they yeah, there yeah. Yeah, there's been bottlenose dolphins that have actually returned dropped cell phones, and there's been ones that have actually helped bring stranded younger whales back out to sea because they'll get into the shallows and kind of get themselves stuck because they get a little out of sorts and stuff. And they've actually been known to help get them back to herd them back into the ocean. And dolphins have always been known to be intelligent creatures. And I just find that this story was just so remarkable. No, it was a great white shark. It wasn't a tiger shark. Hey, dude, how are you? And yeah, and I just and just the whole premise of the story was great. But to have the father going over the thing and discussing the fact that, they were getting uncomfortable because they had no idea that the shark was there, and these dolphins, are pushing them where they want to go. And he was just like, he was getting very, very nervous. And like he said, he tried to break away. And that's when he got corralled back in and realized that, yeah, still lurking. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, and they have been, and like, BMO had said there was reports of them where somebody had dropped one of their cell phones, and the bottlenose dolphin brought it back up, and different stuff. And dolphins are intelligent. We've all known this. I mean, and it's remarkable though, on such a level with some of these animals, like even like with the dolphins' intelligence and stuff, and then just the remarkable ability to remember things. I mean, because everybody does this. Oh, an elephant never forgets. Well, the tiger didn't forget either, and the tiger was able to get its revenge. It was able to track, through scent. And a lot of these animals have very powerful noses, which can, they can pick up scents and stuff for miles and miles and miles. Let's see. What else have we got here? Oh, we've got all kinds of stuff. So this one here I found extremely sweet and endearing. Oh, I did not know that, BMO. That is very interesting, that they can tell if they're hunting or if they're just swimming. Wow. That just shows it's insane how intelligent they are, because yeah, I wouldn't know if it was just swimming by or if it was hunting, because most of the time most people just think sharks are these eating machines. That's all they do is swim and eat and stuff. But the next one that I found really endearing, and it, of course we go back to the elephants never forget type thing, is there was a conservationist who lived in Africa. I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, his name was Lawrence. I'm trying to figure out what his first name was. Excuse me for a second. I got all kinds of. Oh, it's Lawrence Anthony. That's what his name was Lawrence Anthony. He actually now has a foundation since he's passed, where they raise money for different charities that work to rescue animals and stuff. He was working in Africa. Scientists believe it has to do with their sonar that can sense the difference. It could be. I mean, it's like, because yeah, they have really good sonar, just like bats do, and bats can pick up different things, very quickly with the sonar that they have too. That is, God, I love having BMO here. BMO's so smart. Sometimes I just want BMO to step in and take over for me. No, I really do. I'm dead serious. BMO's knowledge on stuff, it's just like curious as I'm just like baffled. You guys are amazingly awesome when it comes to this stuff. But he had rescued some elephants. He had rehabilitated them and stuff. And he was kind of called the elephant whisperer because he had this special way with elephants. It was kind of a nickname they gave him. And when he passed away, and his wife was shocked as anything, because he passed away, and 2 days after he passed away, the herd of elephants that he had rescued and rehabilitated showed up at his property, And yes, the private game reserve. Yep. Um, but when he passed away just before he was headed for a gala to raise money for, I cannot remember what the heck it was. Um, like I said, I've got so many notes and I'm trying to keep track of everything. And it's just, yeah. It's hard to do because there's like so many different things. And these stories are so neat and so unique. But, yeah, I can't figure out. It's not saying on this here because there was, let's see. Yep, nope, it's not saying. But yeah, the elephants showed up and they stayed there. They hung around. It was like they were mourning him. And his wife was just astounded by the whole thing that was going on. And she just could not believe that these elephants had shown up and they were just hanging around. It was like they knew he was gone. It was like they were paying his respects. And then what was even more remarkable and with the whole thing is that they actually returned there a year later and stuff. And the work still goes on. His wife still continues the work at the, I don't know how to say it. Is that the hula? Different styles. That ain't you. What? Yeah. Different styles. That ain't you. What? I don't understand. This is me. Hello. This is absolutely me. And well, because it's fascinating with the elephants because they do mourn the stuff, but they are one of the most temperamental animals too. I've seen footage where rescuers had released clouded leopards back into northern India. He passed away in Johannesburg, South Africa, just before he was scheduled to travel. There we go. Thank you very much. I got you, Jean. Thanks, D Hoot. And and I watched because they had released them, and what they were doing was about a year later they went to try to track them to see if they could make sure that they were still alive, see how they were doing in the wild, and they were trying to make sure that they weren't actually killed by poachers. And so they had set trail cameras up along the way, and this was when they released them. So they went back to pick up the trail cameras and try to, get footage and stuff. And one of them was completely like demolished and they didn't know what was going on. When they got the chip out of it, the little SD card, and they were going over stuff. They actually got photos of poachers in the area, but they got a photo of a herd of elephants. And the elephants were going by. And I've always said this about the trail cameras, and a lot of people laugh at me, but they emit a sound that animals can hear that we can't. And the elephant proved that point when you've got a bunch of them walking by and one stops because they're kind of walking slowly, but he stops and he looks and he turns his head at that camera and he walked right over and he stomped the crap out of that camera. And I was laughing so hard. I was like, wow, he's not happy right now that he's being filmed. They did find the the two clouded leopards they had released, and they were still alive at the time. So that was good there. And I've seen stuff in Africa where they're in the wild elephants. And yeah, they're very unpredictable, but it's almost like they know when these ones were rescued and they were cared for and they were rehabilitated and stuff. They know what is happening. They know who's taking care of them. And I find that with a lot of animals. A lot of these stories, it comes down to the animal itself. Animals, it's not just an elephant doesn't forget. A lot of animals don't forget. And it's just amazing the memory that some of these animals have and the capacity, the the compassion that they actually have too. Because you think everybody goes dumb animal, or even animals don't have, but they do. There's a lot there. I mean, there was a gentleman who had a dog in Japan. So I don't have the stuff on that, but I mean, it was one of the ones that I had known about, that I was going over. And when he passed away, he was used to riding or going to the subway each morning with his owner. And then he'd go back when his owner got out of work. And he'd do that even after his owner died. He did it for years and years and years. Everybody ended up knowing who he was. And it's a Japanese name, and I cannot pronounce it to save my soul. But I love these stories. And I love the whole getting to know more about them. And it's like, so when you look into it, I mean, these stories have been around forever. And there's been other ones. And another one that a lot of people know, maybe some people don't, curious, I'm sure you know it because it's from your area, is Christian the lion. I mean, that lion was bought in a department store. Okay. He was bought in a department store in London by two Australians who happened to live in Chelsea at the time. They purchased him and they moved him into the flat that they had above the thing. Within a year, he grew. He's a lion, and he weighed 185 pounds. And they realized, we just can't do this, and they were able to connect with a conservationist. Hold on here. What was his name? Let's see. Who's a conservationist? Adamson. But yeah, the two gentlemen were John Rendell and Anthony Brock, who had purchased him, but they were able to get a hold of the gentleman. That's the one. Thank you. Yeah, he waited daily for his human to return on the train. It is a very sad story, but I mean, he didn't even realize that his owner had passed, and he still did it every single day. And it was just amazing. Yes, I've watched the reunion. I have not seen it though. I mean, I've heard the stories and stuff. And because of the fact of the story, I did not realize when it had actually happened, because none of the stuff for the video actually came out until 2008. Somebody had actually put the footage that was filmed with their reunion in 2008 on YouTube and stuff, so everybody could see it. I mean, I'd heard the story, but I didn't really know when I got the reunion. That's kind of when I thought all this stuff had gone down. I didn't realize that it was in 1969 when they purchased Christian and stuff. Sasquatch from Canada in the house. How are you? And yeah, so Adamson took him back to Kenya, because like I said, he at a year, 185 pounds, he's getting bigger and bigger. And I mean, they realized that urban life was not the life for him, and it probably wasn't safe for others. So that's why they reached out to see if they could get him into a place that would be more suited for him. And George Adamson flew him to Kenya. They went to he ended up on what preserve was it? It was the Kora National Reserve, where Adamson worked with him and stuff, to the point that he stayed on the reserve, but he was actually in the wild. He actually had his own pride. It's just, yeah, it's weird. But back then, I mean, all this exotic stuff, to me, they weren't considered exotic pets. They were just pets. Nowadays, I mean, when it started to get to the 80s and the 90s, that's when the exotic came out. But before that, it was kind of like a common thing. It was insane. I mean, Christian was like 5 generations of cat that was bred in captivity, so he was like the 5th generation. And for them to be able to, for Adamson to actually be able to get him to a wild area where he had his own pride was remarkable. And so, of course, the two gentlemen that purchased him, Rendell and Brock, yeah. They wanted to just check in on him. They wanted to make sure that he was, happy. He was, well taken care of. They just wanted to check in and just see how he's doing. It wasn't like they bought him. Okay, he got too big. I don't want him anymore. You take him. They still cared about the lion. And they had people telling him, no, no, this is not a good idea. Now he's in the wild. He has his own pride. He's not going to remember you. This is going to end very, very badly. And that is not at all what had happened. Everybody was shocked and startled by the fact that, let me see if I could pull it up, because I know that there's been issues with Restream with the photos. So let me see if this actually put these images in right. Or if it actually put my images in at all. Do I? Yeah, I got it. Okay. Yeah, it's going to take a minute. All right. It's supposed to be. Looks like it's this one, but it's not, says that it's not. So let me see, because I've got a couple different pictures up here. Yeah, there it is right there. Christian walked up very cautiously, very cautiously. I don't know if he caught their scent or what it was, but out of nowhere, he just, in the early 70s when they went for the reunion and stuff, but it was not released out until 2008. Yeah, people do. Hey, Daniel. Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm so happy you're here. And Rhonda, nice to see you. Yeah, it's I always say that people underestimate the power that animals have of remembering things and stuff. And Frozen. Oh, hi, Granzer 12. How are you? Okay. Am I okay now? Because all I got was curious was frozen. So am I still frozen or am I okay? It probably is, probably has something to do with that movie. Well, I'm glad to see you here. It's nice to have you. Thank you. Yeah, Sam actually has been doing, oh, thank you, Rhonda. I appreciate that. I don't know if it's because I pulled the picture up or not. Um, thank you, guys. Because she's had family in town, so a lot of her stuff had been downloaded, pre-recorded, and played. Not frozen on YouTube. Yay, awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I appreciate that, Curious, because yeah, there was one time I froze, did not know it. I'm still talking away, and then next thing I know, I'm getting text from Jess, and I got thrown right out. So far so good. That's really, really good. I really, really appreciate that. So yeah, and so I just find that whole story with Christian was very heartwarming, and I hope it's because I hope that I didn't freeze because I pulled the picture up. I hope you guys got to see that, because that is actually just is one of those moments that's great. But I also have to look at the side too, that yes, that's a wonderful, loving moment, but it's still a wild animal, and I'm very thankful that turned out all right. But you have to remember, they have a mind of their own, and they'll do what they want. And that's why I always say respect, respect, respect when it comes to animals. I do it in my research area, no trace left behind, but I always respect the animals, because everybody keeps saying that her stream before filmed was live. Yeah, it was live. Yeah. We saw it. Okay, cool. I'm glad you guys saw it because, like I said, I put it up, and the next thing I saw was Frozen. So, and I knew she wasn't doing, let it go, let it go. So, direct, his behavior was living in an 8-mile radius, which was Griffith Park, in LA. Thousands of people hike, bike, and, picnic there. They put on plays. There's all kinds of stuff. But he never once heard a single soul. Nobody ever saw him on their properties. If he kind of wandered through or whatever, they knew he was there because he was collared, and they could track, when he killed a raccoon or a deer that had, stumbled into the park. But most of the time with like the mountain lions too, a lot of times they're nocturnal. They're more active at night. But the thing is they're not completely nocturnal. They are active during the day too. But he turned himself into one that was just, he was out and about at night only because of the reason being less people. There's, less hustle and bustle, and he doesn't have to try to hide so much. So, you learn different things from different animals and stuff. And the last one that I have, and this one here is, I just found absolutely stunning. And the reason for that is because never in a million years, it's not actually the last one. I have one more after this, but this one here, I found remarkable. I was actually like, oh my God, I cannot believe this is even happening. So let me pull up the picture so you can see, if it will let me. So, the story of Poncho. I freaking absolutely love this story, okay? Because this crocodile was shot in the eye. It went through the back of his eye and into his head. He was found by a local fisherman that they call Cheeto. I think his name is actually Gilberto, but he had a funky little nickname. I'm going to call him Alberto because it's just easier for me. And he was shot by, a neighboring farmer next to Gilberto. And the reason for that was because he was attacking the herd. And I think my cat loves me, but I know I dropped it. She's going to consume me. Oh my gosh, Rhonda. Yeah, and Costa Rica. Yeah. So Gilberto found him, and he ended up having some friends who reluctantly helped him because they didn't want anything to do with this. He brought the crocodile back, the American crocodile back, and he saved him. He nursed him, he fed him, he, did what he could to keep him alive, and he did. And then he let him go. And the only issue with that was Poncho decided, I'm not going anywhere. I really like you. And they had a bond that lasted over 20 years. They swam together in the river. It's just, yeah, great story on a croc television. Yeah. And I never in a million years would have thought that, because to me, these things are as old as dinosaurs, and this was one of the most heart-wrenching and heartwarming stories all at the same time. And I love this whole thing of the bond and the friendship they made. And to me, because even though that's great, and I would be so like, oh my God, this is yeah, Gilberto had, to save the croc, because it was eating, the farmer's herd and stuff. And yeah, no, he took it upon himself. I'm going to continue pampering me, sir. And yeah, and then they started putting on shows for, the locals and stuff. And it is just, like I said, it's one of the most heartwarming things. And for him to rescue it, I found to be just incredible. And then the bond that they ended up having, and it lasted for 20 years until, the croc did pass away. But it's just, I love these. Oh no, that's the elephant. Sorry. This is not good. All right, stop. Go away. I'm froze. That's not, I'm froze. There we go. Am I back again? Because I know I froze at one point because it came up there that I lost my connection and everything else. And yeah, I'm very upset because I wanted the other picture of the two of them together. And it's not going to give it to me, is it? Maybe this is it because the other one wasn't.